The cleat hitch. It's probably the knot you're going to tie the most when it comes to boating or sailing. There's cleats on boats, there's cleats on the docks. Nearly every single time you go out sailing or boating, you're probably going to be tying and untying cleat hitches. So it's one of the most vital knots to know. So we'll chat quickly how to tie it and also cover some troubleshooting if you're having problems with it. Here we have a nylon plastic cleat that's hot glued to a piece of wood. This can be bought at West Marine for about $10 or something like that, and I highly recommend getting one of these to practice with, because when you're out there on the dock and you're new to this knot, you're probably going to get confused, and then you can get frustrated or embarrassed or whatever. It's just better to practice this at home, so it's one less thing to worry about when you actually go out sailing. Alright, for this example, this is the cleat and the boat is at the far end of this line. And what we're going to do, the boat will be secured to the far end of this line and you're standing on the dock. Everything from here over is the dock. Typically speaking, the cleat will be between you and the boat. Or if you're on the boat, there will be a cleat between you and the dock. But the cleat is always between you and the thing that you're pulling on, okay? In this scenario, we're going to pull the rope. I have the rope attached to some weight on the other side. So if I pull and let go, it will actually pull away from me. And step one for tying the cleat hitch is that you're going to want to go around the cleat on the far end of the thing that's pulling. So we're going to go around this side of the cleat, right here, and at this point you're going to be feeling the most weight. You go around the cleat to the other side and up over the horn. At this point there's not much weight on the line. Go around, figure eight the other side, and this is the crucial last piece. We want to take the bitter end, which is this end right here, and we want it to be trapped under the line. The best way to do that is to make a twist where we put the bitter end, under the line, and then loop it around the horn. And then we've successfully trapped the bitter end under the line. This is what a cleat hitch looks like. We have one line running on top, and two lines running parallel underneath. Okay, let's do it again. So to untie it, you'd simply take the loops off one by one, and be careful as you come around here because you're going to start having weight on the line as soon as you come around this, as you can see. Alright, so tie it again. We're going to pull around, fully round, and then we're going to come up over the cleat, over this horn. We have a figure eight. Then we want to take the bitter end here and trap it under the line so it's secure. The best way to do that is to make the twist ahead of time where the bitter end is underneath the line and then put it on. There we go. This is the cleat hitch. I'm going to show it now from the other side because the line could very easily be pulling from over here. Okay, now we have our line pulling from the other direction. The steps are going to be the same and we follow the same rules. We're going to take the line and go around the far end of the cleat, around and then under the first horn, over, under the second horn, over, and then the same rules apply. We want to trap the bitter end under the line now that we've done two loops. Best way to do this is make a loop here where the bitter line is under the top part here, and then put this loop on the horn. There you go. This is a cleat hitch. Now you will see this tied slightly differently in certain scenarios. This is the most standard way of tying it, but if you have a slippery line or if the line is maybe small compared to the cleat, then you might experience that this feels like it's going to slide out on you. And if that's the case, so you can do one of two things. You can wrap all the way around, so one full loop, and then continue your wrap as normal. Alright, let's look at that again. So if you have a slippery rope and you're not confident in the first cleat hitch and your rope is not too big, you can go around all the way to where we're going to come up under this horn again, then under this horn, entire loop. That's one way of tying it. A more common way that you'll see people mitigate the risk of having the rope slip is that they tie extra figure eights on here. And then the same as usual, rotate under. This is also acceptable to finish the figure eight. you'll potentially have a lot of extra line lying around, and it's considered bad form to just leave this line lying around on the dock. So what you can do is called Flemish your line. All you have to do is start a little curly Q pattern here and just continue to roll. It's not very tricky, but it looks really good when all is said and done. There we go. This is a properly Flemished line out of a cleat hitch. Now, let's talk about some troubleshooting. What are some of the places where people tend to go wrong when they're tying the cleat hitch? Okay, well, the first one, and probably the most common one, is that people, when they're going to finish their cleat hitch, they turn the wrong way, and all you get here is another figure eight where the line is on top. Now this clearly isn't the loop, so then you'll go back and try again. You might try turning, further and getting this, but that's not the figure eight either, because this breaks the rules. We don't have one rope on top and two running parallel underneath. So if you're having trouble finishing your figure eight, just remember that the bitter end of your line needs to go under whichever line was last on top. So we're just gonna do a twist here to put it under. There we go. Another way that you can confuse this is if you were to run around the horn one too many times and start doing your figure eights here. Now, if you'll see, my figure eights are going away from me, whereas before they were coming towards me, right? So when we go to finish this line, if we'd use the same muscle memory as before, what did we do? We twisted it towards us, but we're on the wrong side. If you find yourself wrapping away from you, so you're going over the horns away from you, then you've probably gotten into a state where things are going to be backwards. If that's the case, your rope is really going to finish over here, and in order to finish your rope over here, you would follow the same rules on this side of the cleat, which gets confusing. I would say you can do it, just remember to put the bitter end under the top part here, and then you'll get a satisfactory knot with one line on top and two lines running parallel underneath. But if you find that you're running your figure eights away from your body, then you've probably done something less than ideal too early in your loop. In this particular case, the problem was that we, instead of going up over the horns, we went an extra turn. So you should just remember that when you're doing your figure eights, you want to be pulling over top towards you, over top towards you, over top towards you. If you're going over top away from you, then you're kind of in a backward situation, and you're really going to want to finish your knot on this side. This can also happen if you position yourself between the cleat and the boat. So if you're over here, when you're tying the knot, you're going to be in that particular scenario. Here, let's just do that. So if I've positioned myself between the boat and the cleat and I start tying this knot, my figure eights are going to be going away from me, and I just need to remember that in that scenario I need to finish the knot on this side. You finish the knot in the direction of the figure eights. I know this is a little bit confusing. So from here, what I would do would be to turn to make sure that the bitter end is underneath, but also on this side, the side that's in the same direction as my loops. Alright, going back around. I know this can be a little bit confusing, so the best way to really not even have to think about this is just to make sure that when you're doing your figure eights, you are pulling them towards you, alright? So under, towards you, under, towards you. That's the easiest way. Then, you know, when it's time to do your loop, you can twist underneath and hook it on here. If you're doing this away from you, then you're doing it in a way that's not technically wrong, but it is backwards. In order to tie it correctly, you need to finish it on the opposite side, which is kind of weird. You're always pulling towards you with your figure eights, and then you can finish the knot on this side, the near side to you. And once we've done that, we can confirm we have a proper knot. We have our Flemish line. We have two lines running parallel to one another underneath one line just on top. And that's it. For those of you who are new to sailing, let me know in the comments below if this helped you. For those of you who are more seasoned sailors, do you have any tips or tricks that would help new people out when it comes to tying this knot? Please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.